Hello, welcome to ScriptWave. In our previous lectures, we discussed about tuple and tuple methods. In today's lecture, we'll be comparing list and tuple and we'll see the key differences between tuple and list. Let's get started and see an agenda for this lecture. So here we start with understanding the difference. This is very important. Maybe it is helpful for your curriculum as well because we have a question for the differences. Make sure you understand and remember the points better. And then we'll see the code for comparing these differences. Whatever we spoke, we'll try to get the answers using the code. Let's start with the difference. So the first difference is list is mutable, tuple is immutable. That means we can add using append, we can remove, we can make any changes to the created list, whereas in tuple we cannot do any such changes. So mutability, tuple is immutable, list is mutable. The implication of iterations is time consuming. That means whenever we are iterating through the list, we'll see the word iteration in upcoming lectures. This is nothing but we are looping through the list. That means we are picking each element one by one and doing some operations. And this is faster in tuple. So that is the reason we need to understand the difference so that we'll get a clarity on where to use tuple and where to use list. List is better for performing operations such as insertion and deletion. As we know, mutability allows us to add and remove elements, whereas tuple is very inappropriate for adding or removing the elements except accessing the elements. So we have a case for just accessing the element, then we will use tuple as our appropriate solution, whereas list if you want to make any changes. List consumes more memory, tuple consumes less memory when compared to list. That means list occupies more memory of your RAM while executing, whereas tuple occupies less. List has several built-in functions. We all know, we have seen few of them: append, extend, insert, remove, pop, delete, etc. Whereas in tuple we don't have many because most of them are confined to just doing operations, not making any changes to the tuple. In list, the unexpected changes and errors are more likely to occur. That means whenever we have a scope for changing, so there can be chances of things getting out of hand. So to avoid that, we use tuple, because tuple we cannot make any changes. So whatever is created will stay forever. So the errors will be very less. So when you're working with very sensitive data, then you can choose to use tuple. Now let's move ahead and understand everything in action using the code. So here I have written the code so that we'll avoid time for executing here. First, we are importing sys because we need to have the system access for getting the size of it. Then we have the list. Then we have the tuple, which has the same number of elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The only difference is list and tuple, and we are just printing a message, memory usage comparison, and we are just having a hyphen printed 30 times. We know this is string multiplication. We will have multiplied with this string 30 times. Now we have a different way of printing function. So here we have f. F stands for format. What it does, it helps us in adding a Python variable inside this flower brackets. So how we can add f, and you'll start with double quote or single quote your message, and in middle you'll have a bracket, and inside the bracket you can add your Python variable. So here I am adding system.getSize of my list. So you're getting the size of my list variable, and here you're getting the size of my tuple. Let's quickly execute this one and understand if everything is working. So now I'll execute here. So see, we have a clear difference. List is occupying 104 bytes, whereas tuple is occupying 88 bytes. So list is more memory consuming, which is proved right now, and tuple is less memory consuming. We need to be very cautious on altering all these kind of scenarios. Now let's move forward to understand the time consuming between list and tuple for working on list and tuple. So we have the iteration that we are building, that is 10 lakhs, to just get clear difference, because the changes will be very minute whenever we are comparing on a smaller list or tuple. So we are just creating the list, and let's try to understand one by one. First, we are importing time. Why time? Because we want to find the difference of this execution. So we'll try to mark the time when it started and the time when it ended for the execution. So we are just having a number n, which stands for number of iterations, and we are getting the start time and pref counter. So this is the counter that we have. This allows us to count the time. From range, we are counting n. So we are just iterating my list. So list underscore time is equal to prep counter minus start. So this will be subtracted because we are adding a start time called x and we are subtracting the start time from the current time. So this is for list. Similarly, for the tuple, we are making the iterations from start time maybe y and we are subtracting because we want to compare. How can we find the time interval from A to B? So A is 10, this is 60. What is the total time? So 60 minus 10, that is 50. So we have 50 minutes, let's consider. So similarly, we are trying to do the same scenario here. And we are printing using the same F notation. So time taken by list and tuple y dot 6f, which denotes the decimal point. So we get 6 decimal points. Let's quickly execute this function to understand everything is working and to compare the time for list and tuple. So we got the output. So you can see we got the list creation time 43 milliseconds, whereas for tuple we got 21, which is almost double or more than double. That is the reason we use tuple for faster execution and we use list for making changes. So we'll be cautious from now to create a list or tuple. Based on our requirement, we'll make the changes. So that's it for the lecture. Thank you so much. Have a great day and see you in the next lecture.